So I just got some questions for you. If we can just rattle them off and get them answered for us.
Sure.
So on Friday, Fermi America announced that it's pausing construction as it awaits permitting from the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. So what are those permits for, and why would you need a pause?
Yeah, so the TCEQ and the EPA require that you can get your horizontal construction done in preparation for the vertical construction on a power plant like ours, a private grid. And so we got all the way we could with the horizontal construction in the first phase, and then we are up against a TCEQ permit, and it's the air permit, the clean air permit, and we're excited about getting that across the finish line, and then we'll be able to start the next phase, which is the vertical construction.
So yeah, that kind of touches on my next question. Should Fermi have waited until they received the final permits to start the project, or slowed down construction so there's no risk of having to pause?
Well, anyone who's done construction understands that there's ebbs and flows in construction, and this is going to continue for 15 years. 10 to 15 years, we're going to be doing a major construction project with up to 14,500 temporary construction workers, contractors that are going to come to the site and help us build various pieces of this. So we don't move slowly, period. We call it Fermi speed, but we like to move fast. And we got ahead of schedule on our first phase. I also think, and I was telling the girls this earlier, you know, we had, if you think about it, it's going to be 76 degrees today in February. We had a very, very mild winter, and we probably picked up 15 days or so of not having a bunch of snow and sleet out there on the site. That also helped us get ahead. Those things are going to happen, and that's part of it. The TCEQ meeting is February 25th, and so we realized last week we're probably a month ahead of schedule. But that's okay. That's gonna be part of, you build a house or a neighborhood development. That's part of it, and we just understand that that's doing business.
And so, what happens if the permit is denied by the TCEQ?
Yeah, so it's obviously up for the commissioners to make that decision on February 25th in Austin, Texas, and we feel very positive about it. The industry experts, some of whom you guys have interviewed prior on the show here, all feel like that the permit is very strong standing. TCEQ passed it the first go round, and we feel confident that that's going to go our way.
And so I want to kind of switch gears now. We know in December, Fermi lost a $150 million contract agreement after the exclusivity period expired at midnight on December 9th. Has that slowed the project down any?
No, that hasn't slowed the project down at all. Like I said, we're ahead of schedule. That's why we find ourselves where we are today, awaiting the air permit and being in compliance. But you know, those things will happen as well. There's funding that was come up, and we didn't actually had not spent any of that money by the time that it was pulled back. So it didn't affect us as far as building things at all. No.
And how are the discussions with that company, or is there something in the works to get that money from somewhere else?
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. So that is also part of the misunderstanding that we want to clear up, and is that the potential tenant one that was that agreement with is still at the table. We're still negotiating terms with that potential client, as well as other potential tenants. The week after that, you may remember us announcing that the exclusivity clause had stopped or expired on that contract. So everybody that was looking at getting power from us in 27, 28 was able to compete for the bids for 26. So we're extremely pleased. We have more interest in the site for 26 power than we've ever had. And you know, on the heels of, I add this, on the heels of Winter Storm Fern, it's more and more apparent how critical that is. You know, when we were talking about private power a year ago, people didn't understand why you would need private power. And we were saying the grids can't keep up with the growth of AI. And what you see now with these data centers popping up everywhere that are not necessarily grid power sources, they're connecting to the public utility grid. We knew that we needed private grid power to power those things to protect the consumers during a crisis like a winter storm or just a brownout during summer. It was important to, and the consumers that built the utility grids 40 and 50 years ago shouldn't be paying for AI compute today. So we're positioned very well as one of the leading private power grids to solve for this problem.
And so also it was announced on Friday that a leading national securities law firm is investigating potential claims against Fermi Incorporated in a federal securities class action has been filed against the company, which alleges that the company and its executives violated federal securities laws by making false and/or misleading statements. What is your response to that?
Yeah, you know, unfortunately in this country, lawsuits are a part of doing business. And I told the team that Elon Musk has faced, I don't know, you can Google it, 1,500, 2,000 lawsuits. It's going to be a part of doing anything big. You know, we quit in this country doing things that made us great because of fear and regulation, and we don't build things, we don't manufacture things, we don't grow things. We outsource all of that, and that's a shame. It's part of what made our country great. And at Fermi, we are builders. We're entrepreneurial, West Texas, gritty builders that want to create something. And with that is going to come opposition of all kinds. We knew that before we started. Obviously, I don't comment on anything legal, but it's safe to say that it won't be the first and it won't be the last of things that'll come against us and try to stop us from doing something really great for the country.
And then, so we know that when Toby was first in front of the Emerald City Council, that they gave out some deadlines. So coming up faster than others, is Fermi on track to have the infrastructure built, the clients in place, and are there discussions about on the charity side of things?
Oh yeah, no, we've made huge progress on all those fronts. Charitably, I'd have to get the total donation amount, but we made significant donations over the last 2 months to local charities, to the food bank, to the 100 Club, to multiple organizations that are doing amazing things for our first responders and veterans and serving in food insecurities. So, and we'll continue to do that. That's part of being a good neighbor and a good steward of our resources and what we've been blessed with. And then, yes, we're, like as I said earlier, working on finalizing the final tenant and expect that in the near future, which will be an exciting announcement as well. But everything that was laid out by the city that they wanted to see happen as part of that agreement. Building the infrastructure, you know, we've laid 11 miles of fence, we've laid 7 miles of water line, and 4.2 miles of gas lines so far. Water Tower 1 is completed. It's not branded yet, it's still primed. It'll look a lot better eventually, but we've built Tower 1. And so those things, the infrastructure is built and ready to accommodate the city water contract that we signed, yes.
And then going into that, there are some agreements with Carson County and the city of Amarillo, which will bring in money to both entities. Any worries that these two won't be fulfilled if the project is on hold?
No, I mean, it's again, on hold is a really, there's still 100 people on the site today working. Because what we paused was the power generation construction, which is what builds the vertical power. You probably saw this morning that we had, 6 Siemens units delivered via 165 shipping containers to the port in Houston today. Had to be hoisted with a heavy tonnage crane because the biggest pieces that were shipped over in those huge containers weighed 485,000 pounds apiece. It's going to take 420 trucks to get them here. So the site is very real, and the equipment's on its way, and we're very excited about what we're accomplishing.
So I guess on hold for some people that hear that, the work is still being done, but it on hold is just kind of, you know, a term that we're kind of hearing right now.
Well, have you ever built a house or remodeled a house? You have construction team members, skilled labor workforce, men and women that come in and do particular work, and then maybe they're done. Maybe you have somebody doing a welding job that doesn't assemble the SGT 800s. Maybe you have somebody laying a foundation that doesn't build the water tower. There's going to be ebbs and flows of construction teams between now and 15 years from now when we're finished with this 11 gig campus. So it's not going to be a surprise, and you see the same thing with other large companies in this town as well. Workforce needs change, and bringing in those construction team members, and we're very proud to have them, and what they've built so far is amazing. In fact, I pulled some numbers on this a few days ago. We have actually had 91 companies associated with Fermi America that have had over 500,000 man hours on the site in just 6 months. So just since July, 500,000 plus man hours on the site by our contractors. And if you look at that in the math, $100 an hour by the time you pay them a great wage, and then the per diems and the stay to be able to stay the nights in the hotels, and it's $50 million into the local economy, and that's when we had 500 to 600 people a day on the site. Give you a fresh start on that. I ran the math a few days ago, and we have had since July when we started over 500,000 man hours on the site between 91 companies. It's just hard to fathom until you've been out there and seen everything that's been accomplished. But what that means for the local economy at $100 an hour between a good wage and the per diem for them to be able to stay overnight and eat and everything it takes to bring in these temporary construction jobs is significant to the economy. It comes to $50 million just in the last 6 months. And so to put that in perspective, we plan on having, the estimates are over 14,800 temporary construction workers in the next decade that will be building Fermi America's Project Matador. And already we're really proud of the fact that we've injected that much money, $50 million, into those team members and the local economy where they eat and dine and stay and shop and everything while they're here. So it's exciting to us to see that happen.
So you talk about temporary. Do you know? Could you throw out a number of permanent people that would be here to work at that site?
For sure, absolutely. We've done the same type of study on permanent jobs with a site like this. There's not any other sites in the country that are 11 gigs that are a combination of nuclear and gas and everything like what we're doing to date. But when you put together the different studies of different ones that have done it individually, estimates are about 5,800 permanent jobs that'll be six-figure, high-paying jobs that will stay in the local community, and that doesn't count the ancillary businesses that come from serving these temporary workers that are here to build the site, and then the ones that'll be here beyond, because that makes us one of the larger employees in West Texas and employers in West Texas, which is super exciting for the region, and it'll be great for the local economy.
Kathy, is there anything else I'd like to add that I forgot to ask?
You were very thorough. I think it was great. Lex, is there anything else that? Oh, good. Yes. Yeah. So last week we brought in our first 6 Siemens units, which are the power turbines for the power that'll create the electrons, and they're massive units. It took 165 shipping containers, which are 40 by 20. To put that into a little bit of perspective, it'll take 420 trucks to bring them here. 165 shipping containers. So you saw the crane, actually, the heavy-duty crane lifting them over one at a time. It's very incredible long lead time items to be coming to port to head to Amarillo, Texas. I was thinking about it. It's almost like getting a car during COVID. Thankfully I didn't have to go buy a car during COVID, but they weren't anywhere to be found. You drove by empty lots. It's the same thing with power units in today's energy crisis. That is the supply chain hang up. And so everybody wants these units. Siemens just announced, I think it was a week ago or so, that they're going to be investing a lot more in the U.S. power, understanding that we have a crisis here and they need to produce them quicker, but the estimates are 2 to 3 years on some of those units. And so to get them shipped from 4 different countries and the first 6 units be coming up here to Project Matador is very exciting.
All right. Well, I think that does it for us. I don't have any other questions.
Awesome.